Welcome to the Rebuild Procurement Podcast. Alan, the #1 procurement podcast in the world, where we dive deep into topics to keep procurement people up to date and ahead of their peers. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Share, make this your holiday gift to those that matter most in your lives. Share it with your mom, share it with your dad, share it with your significant other, and your best friends. On today's episode, Alan, we're going to do a bit of how it's sourced. We're going back to that. And we will be doing the Christmas tree. I'm Tom Finn, bringing 15 years on the client side, procurement, finance, and category management experience in large and small cap orgs.
And I'm Alan Vika, procurement geek on the sell side of our street, and I've assembled a team of superhuman procurement professionals who are all doing managed services at a little company we call Summit.
Let's get into it. All right, Alan. So
should we sing, Tom? Should we? Oh, Tannenbaum, oh, Tannenbaum.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever publicly sang. I'm just like behind closed doors. I'll rip out the Christmas songs, the Bing Crosby and those, the Michael Bublé. We can
record that after this and have Brandon splice it in.
Yeah, exactly. So, Alan, I have a question for you. Are you real or natural when it comes to Christmas trees?
We are all real.
Oh yeah, we are. Or is that real or natural? Real or fake is what I meant. We are. In my house, it's all fake. I grew up with the real tree, but
that's so Philly.
I don't know. Is it? I remember my cousin lived in the city, and they would walk to the corner, and they used to have people that set them up on the corner. You would pick up your Christmas tree there, and I've always grown up doing it. Probably at some point need to do it for my kids. But today, we're not going to go through the petroleum that goes into my tree. We're going to dive deep into your tree, Alan, into your own natural.
It's always petroleum.
Yeah. So, but you've seen over the years, they've gotten more expensive as everything has. So nowadays, when you were going out, was it, my sister bought a real tree. She said it was like $80. Is that about what you were seeing?
Yeah. This year. So I already bought this year and we paid $78 for it.
Now, 78. Okay. Right on. Tree. Yeah.
No, but see, I'm an old guy, so I have it delivered, and it's a nice little local place. So they even set it up for you, put it in the stand, and all in, I think it was $155.
$155. Okay, so like call it $70 for the install. I think that kind of tracks with general goods plus services. And I think that's about what everyone's seeing. So if you're going to go throw it on the top of your car, it's going to be like $60, $80. And I know somebody that cut one down for $40. But these things, they take a long time to grow. Have you ever seen these like the Christmas tree forests or the farms that they have?
Yeah, when we were in our prime and we were activist parents, we took our kids to a local farm every year. We'd do the little hayride out on the tractor, choose our tree. In the early days, they give you the saw. I had to saw it down. In the not too many years after that, I started bringing my own chainsaw.
Oh yeah,
I'm too lazy for this. That's hard work, man.
Those are just like the little saws. Yeah. Those
they're always dull.
Yeah, they're never sharpened because they basically rust when you're not using them. I don't think you're out there sawing every day, right, Alan? So
no.
But for lead times, generally, if you're working in like say capital equipment or anything, like max time you would ever have is like 1 year. And that's like building a giant piece of a plant that's going to be put together. Usually it'd be like 6 months, plus shipping might be considered like a long lead time item. So these Christmas tree farmers, I don't even know how they plan, but it ends up being like 7 to 10 years that these things grow. Yeah. So it's not an annual harvest of Christmas trees. And like you would with your apples and things of that nature, you're actually cutting down the tree and needing to replant them. So there's two main trees that are considered the Christmas trees. There's the Fraser fir, which is the East Coast variety. So that's the Cadillac. That's the one that holds its needles the longest. Whereas then the West Coast, you have the Douglas fir, which is just also very popular. But I hadn't realized that the Fraser fir, the reason it's a little bit better of a tree is this holds its needles longer.
Hmm.
maybe less of a fire problem immediately upon being in your house. So if you just do play that out, right, it's 2025 when we're recording this. So they're going to plant their seeds this year to then harvest it 10 years from now in 2035. That's just,
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to have land at that point. Like, what are you doing?
Yes.
That's it. That's a
Lots,
lot.
lots of land and lots of time.
Yeah. So it doesn't really feel like that much, right? If you're buying an $80 tree, they're selling that tree for $40 probably, thereabouts.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yep. It's amazing. And when you think about it, I was doing a little bit of research. So we had a little bit of a price spike during COVID because everybody decided, since they're home at COVID, everybody wants to get a tree or three. So there was huge demand. But in addition, there was a dearth of planting that happened in 2008 because of the financial crisis. Land became a premium and
Yeah.
everybody was kind of down in the doldrums. So you think
Hmm.
about that lack of planting in 2008, fast forward to COVID in 2020, boom, supply goes down, demand goes up, prices skyrocket.
Yeah, and just like any other, farm type product that they're growing, if there's any type of, heat that is excessive, like it could kill seedlings today that should have ended up being sold for, the 6 foot $80 tree 7 years from now, and then they don't have that, right? Then there's the gap itself, so they have to
Yep.
play around with the weather as well and dealing with the weather, I should say. No one's playing around with it; everyone's just dealing with it. Um, so then, looking at their operational side, um, it's not something where you could just plant and walk away. They also still need to maintain this, so they still have to go through and they shear the trees. So somebody needs to go through, just like you would in your yard if you have trees, things of that nature. You got to kind of cut them back. They similarly have to do that with the trees, and then here's just another like detail I thought was interesting. In the Pacific Northwest, specifically in Oregon, the terrain is quite steep for the trucks,
Mhm.
so they have to use helicopters to lift bundles of the cut trees from the field to the loading
Oh, that's
dock.
got
So
to be
they're
cheap.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that's
just
got to
like
be cheap.
lassoing them or something to get that to get with a helicopter pilot, the fuel associated with it. They That's how they have to get them to your front doorstep. That's maybe how you got yours delivered, Alan. Did they send it down through the
Exactly.
chimney?
They choppered it in. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe they just flew and then they had the parachute on top.
You've heard of life flight? This was tree flight.
Yeah. So then, so once they're cut down, so these trees, they get cut. You figure December is the time. They get cut around mid-October, and then because they're cut, right? What are you going to do? It becomes a perishable good at that point. It's no longer has the
Mhm.
ability to grow. So they like in sourcing, how they have like the space that they set aside from the truck with the unit economics. So these trees are baled, which is like put down together. You figure like hay that they put these things close together, and then the folks are paying for the space on that truck. So you can fit 400 to 800 trees on a 53-foot trailer, or if you can't, then you're losing money on it. So
Yeah.
that seems like this is a lot of trees on a 53-foot
Mhm.
trailer. Like, I don't know. I couldn't really envision that, but they really have to be bailed up. I thought it was quite interesting. And then there's only so many places that these grow, right? So they end up needing to be trucked around or railed around, and a tree, and then they could be in refrigerated trees as well, just like they would be any other perishable good. So that's the logistics of it. But things aren't always grown in your backyard, right? There's certain areas of the country that things grow better, and then they're sent elsewhere.
Land is cheaper. A whole bunch of the weather's better for faster growing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of these things come into play, and so I was just trying to think through in my mind your fake tree, Tom. It's got a certain amount of petroleum in it, like we talked about. But my tree kind of implicitly has some petroleum in it because it came from someplace. It had to be shipped here. It had to be brought to my house. Like, I wonder how much petroleum I used in transportation versus you used in manufacturing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's undervalued the amount that like oil still has a role in the economy. In a lot of cases, when prices spike, they hurt a lot of industries. If goods need to move, then yeah. And that's also the value of the US has with the rail, where things can move. You can move a lot of stuff with just one car pulling a bunch.
Yeah,
But yeah, it
that's right.
definitely has a portion of that $80 will definitely be a good amount of the logistics.
Yeah. And I wonder, we talk a lot about, I certainly not eating it myself. We've talked a lot about lab grown meat. Could you do lab grown Christmas trees? I mean, I'm a chemist, which kind of makes me like a pseudo biologist. Feels like it should be possible, but there's a lot. I guess there must be a lot of
I
complexity
mean,
there.
the benefit you would have would be if you could speed up the process,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of picturing it like 3D printing, but with plant materials. So could you print a Christmas tree? I
Yeah.
don't
I
know.
feel like the
Maybe one
economics
day, Jetson.
aren't worth it. Like this is what it feels like to me. Like $40 or whatever a person would make, a farmer
Pretty
would
cheap.
make for those
Yeah.
trees. Like it doesn't even feel like they have 1,000 trees whenever I see these little farms. Like it feels like hundreds, and then they're growing over like 6 to 10 years. That I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's. And then you figure companies like a lot of the big farmers, they'd be selling into the Home Depots, the Lowe's, the Costco's as well, and they're getting pushed down on margin as well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm just guessing that your estimate of number of trees that the average tree farmer grows must be way off,
has to be.
because it's got to be tens of thousands,
I mean,
right?
it
For
has to
them
be.
for it to make sense. I mean, and tens of thousands might be like 10,000 might be per year. So over 10 years, hundreds of thousands of trees. I think it's got to be.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's just like I've maybe only seen like this. I'm sure there's those places that have like the vast, sprawling Christmas tree growth, and I'm sure those guys are tens of thousands. But yeah, I just sometimes see like it almost looks like people's backyards that they're just growing like a few hundred Christmas trees in. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe that's the case. Maybe it's just like folks that have X number of acres, like let me plant something that's nice and has less maintenance associated with it versus vegetables and whatever else folks would want to sell.
Yep.
But yeah, no doubt, definitely sprawling acreage across the United States. Be curious the amount covered by the by Christmas trees, by these
Yeah.
firs. And then the last would be just on the procurement side, Alan. If folks are at the like what goes into this from like negotiating standpoint, even though it feels like these folks are being beaten up, I'm sure that there are some large growers, but I mean, there's the diesel, like you were saying, the cost that goes into it. It'd be a large percentage of the final price, that diesel, to get it there, especially if they're refrigerated cars. Those cost more. Labor associated with it. So harvest is still manual. They're not just rolling over these with John Deere's. I don't think they're out there. They need to cut them down, probably with the chainsaw, just like you when you were with your kids there, Alan.
Exactly. Yep.
And then they are, and then the biggest competitor for them would be like me, Alan, which is the plastic trees, right? So they're not just. Whereas maybe 30 years ago, those plastic trees looked not real. The ones now, they look real enough where people, it's easier just to plug it in and let it be.
My mom this year said that she has a small tree. It's like a 4-foot tree. She said, all I did was I left all the ornaments and the lights on. I unplugged it. I covered it with a plastic bag and I put it in the closet. So all I had to do this year is pull it back out.
Yeah, we've gotten to the point though where ours is now older, that I feel like there's more of the needles on the ground than there is with a real tree.
Yeah, you got to
Like,
upgrade. You got to upgrade.
yeah, I was looking at it, it's like now it came with lights. Now I need to put lights on it again. It's basically turned into a real tree.
Yes.
So
The real
yeah.
question is, do you do tinsel?
No, I don't. Yeah, how much plastic do I want to throw at the
Who
thing?
does tinsel? Nobody does tinsel.
I remember doing
My
tinsel.
in-laws used to do tinsel, and that used to be all they did. Like they had no lights. They just like threw a bunch of tinsel on it. It was like
Yeah,
crazy.
it was like in New York when they used to have like the New Year's Day parade. Folks would throw confetti, and all it was just like plastic that would just be like
Yes.
around the streets. Now it's all
Yes.
paper. So
Yes.
yeah, the paper doesn't have the same shine from a tinsel standpoint as the pretty old tinsel plastic would. But just on the similar to the I mean, with these when ocean freights, when they drop, because some ocean freights could be pretty volatile, at least have been over the past like 5-6 years. But when it drops, the artificial trees that rolls right into a less expensive tree. So it is a bit of, they do have a substitute. Folks do have a substitute in the plastic tree, even though maybe it's not as Christmassy.
Yes, fascinating.
Yeah.
One of the interesting notes that I saw in my bit of research here is, because we are in Pennsylvania, Tom, we're pretty lucky. We live in the third largest Christmas tree growing state in the union, after Oregon and North Carolina, Pennsylvania. So it said we are actually in one of the top tree producing states. Therefore, costs can be low because freight component goes down. So I thought that was a fascinating little tidbit. Maybe that's why the tree that I bought this year was actually so affordable relative to national averages.
Yeah, maybe that's also why I just see people seemingly growing them in their backyard.
Yeah, it's right.
Like, it's a bit different when you go to Tennessee. Yeah, so I mean, essentially, next time folks are out there, I guess now's about the time. Well, maybe it will have been a couple weeks ago at this point that folks would have already went out and got the trees and thrown them on the back of their car or gotten them delivered, however it may be. Just as something, Alan, that had a 10-year forecast associated with it. That item also went through probably a drought or two over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You had someone out there with call it just they were hand carving it out. They were shearing that by hand. It could have, maybe not in Pennsylvania, but elsewhere in the country, could have been on a helicopter being brought around, and then maybe traveled 500 miles to get right to their doorstep, where they can then throw the lights on and enjoy it during their Christmas season.
Fascinating. I wonder if it's possible to buy a Christmas tree future. So like, I'm going to buy my 2035 Christmas tree today. I'm going to put, give it a name, send me pictures of it at its plot. I'll send you $10 every year for the care, feeding, maintenance of it. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, just and like raise your own tree.
Raise your own tree. That would be fun.
Yeah. What are the biggest Christmas tree companies, Alan? There's looks like there's actually a few. There's one, maybe, I don't know if any of these are public. You have Holiday Tree Farms, which is Oregon's largest. So if they're the biggest, they're the biggest in the biggest. And that's the major wholesaler. And then and then they have artificial companies, which they list out more. Balsam Hill, National Tree Company. And then Bronner's is the world's largest store. But maybe reach out to some of these other ones. The biggest one in Pennsylvania is a Christmas tree auction, Buffalo Valley Produce Auction. And then a UK
that must
one
be
here.
Like wholesale. That has to be like wholesale auction, right? I'll take
probably
50,000 trees.
I was thinking more like the cow when you have like the local, the local farm shows.
Yeah.
Like I would, this one here is like $3,000 for that tree. But maybe that's where they buy them for some of those New York and the big downtowns. Maybe it's that there's tree auctions as well.
That's fantastic. Well, regardless of where you got your tree, whether it's fake or whether it's real, and how much you paid for it, Tom and I hope that you have a very Merry Christmas, a great holiday season, that you get your tree up, you get festive, you enjoy your time off, you do a little reflection on 2025, and look forward to 2026. On behalf of your humble hosts here at the Rebuild Procurement Podcast, we are Tommy Finn, the guy who puts the fin in finance, and your OG in procurement, Alan V, hoping that you will make this a powerful and productive week in procurement. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Show me, and you won't hear the word rebuild.